हाँ वो लगा मैंने
रेगुलर सेटअप चाहिए।
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषण्यवादी पश्चात्देशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Extremely sorry for starting late. Some electrical issue, not even technological issue. So today is the journey of Arjuna from education to the Laksha Graha, and from there traveling many places, eventually marrying Draupadi, coming back to Hastinapur, and then going for 12 years of exile. This is not the exile of the Pandavas, it was the exile of Arjuna. So winning Draupadi and Vanvas. When we see education, learning without experience gives rise to not only arrogance, impractical presentation of what somebody has learned. It could be detrimental to oneself and to others. Like the Niti Shastra explains, the Panchatantra, wherein 5 young boys, they became expert in many things, including reviving the dead person. So as they completed their education, at least they considered they completed their education, as they are going across the forest, they found the dead bones of the tiger. And everyone had some speciality. One knew how to bring all the bones together, second person knew how to bring all the blood veins and the blood flow, third knew how to bring the shape to the body, and fourth knew how to cover it, including bringing back to life. But there was one person who had a common sense. When they decided to bring back the tiger to life, he said, "Don't do this, it's a tiger." They said, "No, we have the education, we can revive, and you don't know how to do anything." So the fifth boy, he knew how to climb the tree. And when they revived the tiger, sure enough, the tiger destroyed them, killed them. Therefore, even the greatest of the knowledge, without the profound experience of life, become extremely dangerous. Through the process of experience in life and seva, one can actually digest the knowledge. Like as it is said, knowledge is like milking the cows. If you do not know the art of milking the cow, instead of milk, blood will come. And this is the beauty of the Pandavas. Specifically Arjuna here we are discussing. He has completed his education under the tutorials of Dronacharya. Right, Dronacharya is very famous. And after the exhibition match wherein Karna displayed much greater ability than Arjuna, Yudhishthira Maharaj became worried about the greatness of Karna. But it did not bother Arjuna. Because the difference between Arjuna and Karna is that Karna is good at exhibition, but Arjuna is good at emergency. We saw that last time. And we see all over the Mahabharata, Whenever Arjuna is a true warrior, like a combat force is not prepared to particular event. A combat force is prepared in their disposition, whatever it comes. They're good at surprise. So Dronacharya trained them, and because of the envy of Duryodhan, eventually after in the match where Arjuna defeated Drupada, after the exhibition there was a Guru Dakshina, and Guru Dakshina was capturing Drupad. Arjuna did capture Drupad, and capturing Drupad brought many layers of emotions in Drupad. One emotion was revenge against Dronacharya. He did a yagya to bring forth a child who would kill Drona. And his own disciple, Dronacharya's disciple, was responsible for bringing this kind of situation to Drupada. He became fascinated by the very person who had conquered him. No, this is very, very rare. One who defeats you, you are humiliated. There are nightmares. You are not fascinated by them unless there is a psychological problem. But Drupada was a great Kshatriya, a great warrior. In his fascination of Arjuna was justified. It was judicious. And therefore he said, I want a daughter who will marry Arjuna. Imagine the contradictory benediction. One to bring the families together and other to destroy the family. And he performed the yagya for it. Of course, Draupadi and Drishtadyumna were born. And the Pandavas came to their the predicament where Dhritarashtra wanted to burn them to ashes. Vidura, protected them. And they moved from one place to other place. Bhima got married, not intercaste marriage. It was beyond intercaste, a human and a Rakshasi marriage. Hidimba was a Rakshasi, Bhima was a very refined human being. The great progressive mother Kunti, very grounded, very traditional. Right? People don't see from this perspective. If you want to see only fault, there was Jati system, there was this one, look into this. She fell in love with Bhima, and Bhima wanted to destroy her along with her brother. Kunti stopped. He said, she is in love with you, she wants to marry, you should go ahead. Right? The brothers, they ridiculed, they joked, they teased Bhima, not ridiculed. And Bhima married Hidamba before Yudhishthira Maharaj. Right? And then Ghatotkacha was born eventually. They continued their journey. And after continuing their journey, they came in a place near the Ganga belt. It was an evening time, the Pandavas were about to enter into the waters of Ganga. There was this Chitraratha. A Gandharva had come along with many of his entourage. Right? When he saw Pandavas approaching, he was very angry and upset. And there was a debate, a discussion. Gandharva said, how could you come here? This is not your time. This is the time for the higher beings. We are the Gandharvas. You are not supposed to come here. If you come and do something, you bathe in Ganga, I will punish you. And Arjuna said, you don't know the glories of Ganga? It could be applied to other rivers, but not for Ganga. In Ganga, anybody at any time can take bath. 24 hours. Ganga Devi is giving her magnanimous mercy. Therefore, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that Ganga Devi is a flowing aspect of the Supreme Lord. Daru Brahma is Jagannath and Jala Brahma is Ganga. Right? So Arjuna knew the Shastra so very clearly. But here it is not about the debate. It's not about agreeing to something higher principle. It's about proving my point is greater. Right? It happens amongst the Vaishnavas. It happens amongst the politician. It happens amongst the philosophers. Right? Even sometimes the great people, they come to public, discussing their point of view. So this is there since time and immemorial. Gandharva did not agree. He couldn't take the defeat, the right point of Arjuna. So therefore he fought Arjuna. Of course, Arjuna within no time defeated Gandharva. Chitraratha was defeated. His chariot was burned to ashes. And Gandharva was shocked. Then he knew the glories of the Pandavas. And there was an exchange of friendship. Gandharva said, you know what, you're so good. I want to offer you something, because eventually Yudhishthira Maharaj interfered. He was protected. So Gandharva wanted to offer something to Arjuna. So Arjuna said, look, I don't take anything. I protected you. If I take something, because of this, it will be an exchange offer. It's not fair. Then Gandharva said, no, it's a friendship. I want to give you something, gift. Dadati prati granati. So then he offered him a chakshushi vidya, wherein you become invisible to others. And Arjuna offered him a special astra. And this exchange, and Gandharva became friends with Arjuna. Then Arjuna raised this question to Chitraratha. He said, why did you attack us after knowing that we are Pandavas? So Gandharva gives many reasons. One reason is ego, that he wanted to displace prowess in front of women. But more than the most significant reason which Pandavas picked up, right, made more sense to the Pandavas, especially for Arjuna. He said, my dear Pandavas, you know what? You have completed your student life. Now, after completing the student life, you have to choose some ashram. Samvartana is done. The next ashram is your grahasthra ashram, and you don't have a wife. And therefore, you experience certain difficulties in life. And second, he said, that Chitrangada said, now he named himself as Dagdaratha. He acquired a nickname, Dagdaratha. He said, and second is, after completing your education, you had a teacher who taught you all the skill, but you do not have a Purohit, a leader of your life, who has no other agenda other than simply fulfilling your dharmic agenda. Now, this is one of the most profound aspects of teacher in the Mahabharata. Those who want to hear more about Daumya Rishi, we have 3-session talk which is there in the RG media. Especially Daumya, very important figure. He is actually the greater guru of the Pandavas compared to Dronacharya. But most people know about Dronacharya, do not know about Daumya Rishi. So Chitrangada told, because you don't have Purohit. This is one of the most amazing science in the Sanatan Dharma. Right, having a leader who has no agenda. His agenda is only empowering the people. A teacher cannot have an agenda other than empowering. And therefore he cannot be a famous. Daumya Rishi will not be famous. It's very interesting. And when they heard about Daumya Rishi, immediately the Pandavas came to Daumya Rishi. And Daumya Rishi agreed to guide the Pandavas. That was his commitment. That was his sankalpa. The commitment was from both the sides, from the student side, from the teacher side. He said, I am committed to you in good times or bad times. In hard time or in seamless situation, I will always be there with you. Especially the royalty, right, aristocratic people, because they have limitless resources, limitless decisions to make. Right? One great personality makes a small wrong. The consequences of that blunder is an Himalayan blunder. Therefore, having a Purohit is extremely important. One of the tragedy of the modern world is, there are no Purohits, there are only Dronas who have an agenda to fulfill. Yes, they take pleasure in seeing their student grow, but even though they take pleasure in their student grow, there is a greater pleasure in using their student for their cause. Of course, even such teacher has to be respected. Through Arjuna, we can see that extreme degree of respect to Dronacharya. Loved his Guru Dronacharya in all condition of life. But here is Dhaumya Rishi. So hearing this, the Pandavas basically traveled to Dhaumya Rishi, got his connection, and then they continued to proceed. From here onwards, Dhaumya Rishi stayed with the Pandavas except for 1 year in incognito. He was there during the time of Pandava's grandson Parikshit being named. He became partner with Kripacharya. He didn't say, "Arey Kripacharya, you were not there. In fact, you were the person who was responsible for killing the children of Pandavas. How could he be Kulaguru?" No, he was there. Dhaumya Rishi was there. Both of them basically took the responsibility of all the samskaras performed to Parikshit Maharaj. So then they met many people. They met one Brahmana, and he narrated fascinating story to the Pandavas. And one of the story is the story of Draupadi's birth, the resolve of Draupadi Maharaj. The resolve of Draupadi Maharaj in wanting to destroy Dronacharya and therefore giving birth to Drishtadyumna. And this Brahmana told that Kulaguru of Draupadi Maharaj, how he encouraged Draupadi, because Draupadi also got to know that Pandavas were destroyed in the Lakshagraha. Right? Everyone believed this story. That is the beauty of Vidurji. By keeping Pandavas dead amongst the people, the narration of Pandavas being dead was protecting the Pandavas more than they being alive. And therefore, the news of death, Mrityu hai na, Mrityu, it is not an ugly feature. It's the another feature of eternality, part of the journey for eternality. And therefore, when people are brought to the cremation ground, you find it is called as, yes, in the gross terminology, it's Smashan. But that is also called as Vaikuntha Bhumi, that is also called as Kailash Dham, right? Because people believe from here there is a greater chances for them to achieve higher realm, if not higher realm, a better facilities to perform their duties, right? So when he heard this news, he was extremely disappointed. He said, "What happened to all my yajna which I performed so that Draupadi can be married to Arjuna?" Again the Purohit came to their aid. Purohit made one very interesting statement to Draupadi. He said, "You know what?" He said, "These are not ordinary living entities. Their birth is not simply biological. Their birth is ordained by divine. They are the prasad coming from the devatas, and somebody has so much of punya, they cannot experience accidental death. Akala mrityu will never catch them." And therefore, again, every part of the Mahabharata has so much of life lesson. If someone goes through that, if something happened to some people, untimely death, one doesn't have to curse oneself, right? Ordinary people will go through this. Part of the material existence is, one can assume that one should live longer, 70, 80, do not pass before the parents. Right? But sometime these rules are broken not by laws of karma alone. It's a nature, it's a prakriti. Prakriti is also responsible. Akala mrityu. So this Purohit told them, no, no, Drupad, it is not like that. I guarantee you this will not happen to them. Drupad felt very good and he said, you know what, Drupad, if you want to attract the Pandavas, you should declare the Swayamvar of Draupadi. By declaring the Swayamvar of Draupadi, wherever these Pandavas are there, they will be brought here just like the magnet attracts the iron file. And that Brahmana said, you know what, amongst you, this boy, indicating at Arjuna, he said, he has all the potential to win Draupadi. Therefore, proceed there. It doesn't stop there. The great Vyasadev in the Mahabharata, he's an indicator of Daiva. Once in a while he comes here, he gives some indication to the Pandavas, what's going to happen. And he told the story of Draupadi past life. Right? How she had prayed to Lord Shiva. And by praying Lord Shiva repeatedly 5 times she asked about good husband. And 5 times Lord Shiva said, Tata, that is not the only thing. It's not like reckless. There is a previous connection also. But Lord Shiva said, my dear daughter, since it is your destiny, and also you asked for 5 times, so therefore you will be married to 5 husbands. That lady was told. This was Yagyaseni. And Vyasadeva gave that indication to the Pandavas. Pandavas continued their journey. Bakasur was killed. Then they came to the house of Kumbar in Panchalya, in the town of Draupadi Maharaj. Where did they stay? They stayed in the house of the Kumbaras. And who are the Pandavas? Pandavas are disguised as the Brahmanas. Right? Brahmana staying in the home of a Kumbara, apparently they are supposed to be Shudras. Right? Where the concept of, oh, I cannot drink in the house of untouchable, Shudras. Pandavas were staying in the house of Kumbar. They did not discuss, should we stay here? No, they stayed without any discussion. There are so many such stories in the Mahabharata in regards to overlapping of relationship in all communities. If you don't know village, you don't know life. They stayed there for many days, going around, collecting their alms, coming back to Kumbara's house. Then eventually they came to the place of Draupadi Maharaj. The day was announced according to the particular muhurta. I forgot the muhurta. They came there. It was amazingly decorated. The place was fascinating. Pandavas came there completely disguised. One may say, why the other people could not recognize Pandavas? If you look carefully, stare at them, their gait, their walk, their body language, at least one can say these cannot be Kshatriyas. They are covered like a Brahmana, but they must be Kshatriyas. Again, Mahabharata gives the reason, because everybody was focusing on Draupadi. The mind was focused on Draupadi. Their eyes were looking for Draupadi. They were anticipating to win over Draupadi, and therefore their attention, just like Arjuna was attentive in shooting that bird, right? He didn't see anything but the head of the bird. Similarly, everybody was so focused on seeing Draupadi in their mind, anticipating Draupadi in their mind, calculating how I can win Draupadi. Everybody came. The Pandavas also came. They were sitting in their place. As the Pandavas entered, Mahabharata explains very clearly, Krishna and Balaram along with many Yadavas were also there. And Vyasadeva makes it very clear, Krishna had not come there. Balramji had not come there, Yadavas had not come there to win Draupadi, but they had come there anticipating for the Pandavas to be there. Now Sri Krishna sees the Pandavas first time. Before Pandavas could see Krishna, the Lord Krishna saw the Pandavas first time. He gave his glance towards the Pandavas. Right? He was so happy to see them. Nar Narayan, Arjuna is Nar, Krishna is Narayan, Pandavas are eternally connected to Sri Krishna. And again, human sensitivity, if you see from the Avatara perspective, right, Krishna is so alert, so geopolitically aware. He knew very clearly that Pandavas are alive. He told Balramji, you know what, these are the Pandavas. He said, but they're dead. He said, no, they are not dead. They are dead in the news, but they are alive. And they are here. And Balramji was thrilled. Krishna was thrilled. They were sitting there. Then many warriors tried. Right? And all of them, they failed to even lift that bow. And Karna came to pick up the bow. Now this is the part of the story is very interesting. Drishtadyumna made it very clear who can marry his sister. Right? They have to be from the royal family because Draupadi is not born ordinary. Even now these rules are there. It is not only in India. You go to UK. If someone from the royal family marries to somebody else, they are stripped of their royalty. Because whether we believe it or not, whether you call it as upper class, lower class, the concept of pure blood is a very scientific theory also. Right? So it was very clearly announced. Even though Karna is Karna, looks like he did not hear properly, went to pick up the bow, Draupadi from there only. Neither Krishna gave an indication to her. Of course, the Mahabharata people have made this story, making it very filmy. Nobody influenced Draupadi. She was very clear. She said, I will not marry Sutaputra. Now, the word Suta is not slanderous. It is just connecting his profession. Sutas are not ordinary. Suta Goswami comes from the same kind of community as Karna came. She said, I will not marry. Those who are all women empowering people, this story they have an objection. How can Draupadi say like, how can she not say? It's her marriage, it's Swayamvar. Right? And Karna again, when he's disturbed, he cannot shoot the arrow. This part of the Mahabharata says he did not. In the other part of the same Mahabharata, it is said, because Draupadi said he shot the arrow, but he missed the target. Nobody was able to do. Now Arjuna rose, right? As Arjuna rose, started coming to the arena where the bow and arrow was kept. The target was in the ceiling. He came there and there was an uproar, right? Uproar was not from the Kshatriyas, uproar from the Brahmanas. Some Brahmanas said, what the hell is he doing? How can he do this? When the great Kshatriyas are not able to do, what does he think himself? Butter pine wale, right? He said, what is his capacity? What is his strength that he is trying? And then some other Brahmanas, they said, oh, come on. You can see his body language. He has the confidence. He has the courage. Today he is going to do something which is impossible to understand. So somewhere supporting, somewhere against, but Arjuna walked. As I said, Karna got disturbed, but Arjuna has the power to silence the noise. Like some of the sports people, when you are playing in the presence of 80,000, 100,000 people, people are expecting, sometimes they are booing against you, still to play is not an ordinary thing. Right? Some sports people say we become deaf to the surrounding. Just focus on our present. And that is the greatest quality of Arjuna. Even though there was uproar, debate, discussion, some Brahmanas were throwing uttariyas on the, like cheering Arjuna, you do it, we can do it. Arjuna came there. Right? And he remembered Lord Shiva and Parvati in his heart. And then he looked at Sri Krishna, seeking his permission. Right? This is one of the most endearing qualities of Pandavas, especially Arjuna, that you don't need to go close to them if the facility is not around. Right? By the glance itself, like Bali Maharaj in the Bhagavatam, he saw Lord Vamandev, but the facility was not there to offer his obeisances. Surrounding was unfriendly, uneasy. Like if you go and offer obeisances at the airport, one may say, I don't care. But the person whom you are offering, he becomes inconvenienced. Right? So that in the social world, something which is not done regularly, some people feel should be avoided. So Bali Maharaj simply offered his obeisances in the mind to Vamandev. And he told that to Vamandev. So Arjuna, seek the blessings and permission of Krishna. That was the first time they are looking at each other. But they knew about each other so good. There was such a sweet glance, blessings, permission, and confidence. And Arjuna touched the bow, did pranam. Like even an ordinary farmer, when he climbs the coconut tree, what do? They offer obeisances. They find there is some divinity within that tree also. So Arjuna touched, pranam kiya. And he picked up the bow so easily. That itself is the first task. Many could not even pick up the bow. Arjuna easily picked up. And he tied the string to that bow. Right. And within no time, Arjuna pierced the target. And when he pierced the target, there was a great celebration amongst the Brahmins. And there was a complete silence among the Kshatriyas. They were stunned, they were shocked. How in the world this boy is able to do what we are not able to achieve? And of course, there is always this provocative people. Arey, how can Draupadi insult us? How can he do this? This is not fair. He called his Brahmana and he offended us. Vote chori ho gayi, vote chori ho gayi, vote chori ho gayi. Right? After losing, some other trying to find some reason. Right? And Draupadi was trying to pacify. Of course, the Pandavas, they completely stopped the storm by their prowess. Karna was defeated by Arjuna. And Karna said, this cannot be ordinary. You must be not a Brahmana. You must be somebody else. Arjuna did not say, he walked away. Bhima stopped everybody. Draupadi, very coolly she came. She didn't know it was Arjuna or not. The Mahabharata doesn't mention there she felt it is Arjuna, but her intuition, her gut feeling must have given her the confidence. This cannot be ordinary. This cannot be ordinary. It must be someone Arjuna or someone like Arjuna. इसलिए बिना कोई हिचकिचाहट, without any hesitation, she put the garland. And the Pandavas, they didn't meet their Krishna. They just walked into the place where their mother was. And Krishna comes from behind. And the other part of the story, like Pandavas marrying Draupadi, 5 of them, that's a longer story. We are focusing Arjuna here. And then they decided to come to Hastinapur. One interesting part is, when they came to Hastinapur, Gandhari, when she saw Draupadi, saw means felt, She knew that Draupadi is coming. She had to wait for her. When she felt Draupadi, of course she did not see, the strong feeling in her heart came that this lady is there to destroy my 100 sons. The strong intuition came in the heart of Draupadi, Gandhari, she is here to destroy my 100 sons. There was a shiver. She got completely scared. They stayed there, right? And Narad Muni came and told them the story about how to interact with one wife, 5 husbands. He told the story of Sunda and Upasunda. He made them do certain law. They made the law that whoever is there with Draupadi, there was a law of how many people, what long one can stay with Draupadi, and the next person, next person, next person. So they made that law, and Arjuna broke it, not for his own self, for the sake of protecting a Brahmana's cows. Yudhishthira told, no, don't go. Arjuna said, no, rule cannot be broken, I have to go. One great teacher, commentator explains, this was basically a strategy designed by Krishna. What is the strategy? Like if Arjuna goes as an exile, nobody will notice. But that exile was not exile, but it was building an alliance. A politician, a Rajakarani has no time for celebration. Right? Even the celebration is designed in such a way, it should fulfill the cause of the state. It should benefit the states. If he is absorbed in the celebration without having right understanding of why the celebration is happening, the celebration will kill him. Celebration becomes an intoxication and the enemies will attack. So Raja and teacher and the Guru cannot celebrate their life. Their celebration is to see their student, their praja, always flourishing. Therefore, Chanakya explains, when the king rises early in the morning, yes, the Purohit come, yes, the Vandis come, but along with that, king has to see a handicapped person, a poverty-stricken person, not to create any kind of inauspiciousness, but to tell him, still your system is broken because there are people who are underprivileged, you have to provide them. So Arjuna, because of that, he went inside, collected his weapons, and then he broke that law, and therefore for next 12 years, he travels. That is the Vanvas we are talking about. Right? When Arjuna was traveling, he went to many places. Right? We touched upon last week. He came to Nagaloka. He entered into the water. He was captured by Naga Kanya Ulupi. And as we discussed, Arjuna was so conscious about his sadhana. Even though he was taken into the water, he had not done his Agnihotra. Immediately saw the fire, he performed the Agnihotra. A great sadhaka. But at the same time, amazingly responsive to Ulupi. Ulupi was attracted to Arjuna. She wanted to marry. Arjuna gave his logic, I cannot, because this is my vow. I have to go around without any association of a woman. Ulupi said that vow is connected to Draupadi. She knew the story of entire Pandavas vow. It's only connected to her. It's not for me. And since I have asked you, I am qualified, you are qualified. Arjuna married Ulupi. Irvan was born. Then he came to Manipur. He married Chitrangada. Stayed there for 3 years. He delivered the 5 Apsaras, Panchapsara Kunda, in the southern direction, right, where people would not take bath. And then eventually what happened was, after traveling many places, learning many things, collecting many friendship, Arjuna, he heard the news or he received the message from Sri Krishna to come to the great Dwarka. Right? So why like that? Because the story of Drupada, the daughter of Vasudeva and Devaki, Subhadra, was supposed to be married to the son of Duryodhana. His name was Lakshmana, not the Ram's Lakshmana. Right? He was supposed to marry her because Balaramji promised Duryodhana in Mithila. Lord Balaramji had gone to Mithila being angry with Krishna because he had suspected the two, I think, Dantavakra of taking the Shamantaka jewel. Right? Because he killed him, Balaramji got offended. Balaramji also felt that Krishna is responsible for the Shamantak jewel being missing. Bhagavatam in one verse explains about Balaramji staying in Mithila for 3 years. Vishnu Puran explains in detail. That is the time the Kurus headed by Duryodhana learned mace fighting from Balaramji's special training which Bhima did not receive. And when the time came for Guru Dakshina, it was opposite. Rather than teacher receiving the Guru Dakshina, the student asked. Balaramji said, what do you want? He said, I want to marry Subhadra. I said, okay, done it. Tatastu. He did not ask Subhadra Devi also. He came and told his parents, he told Subhadra, they couldn't speak because Balaramji is like a, like a Jat original powerful personality. When he says nobody can say no to him. Subhadra came to Krishna, what is this? He said, what can I do? No? Then Krishna invited Arjuna. Arjuna was told to dress as a sannyasi. And he told what is happening. He said, look, you come as a sannyasi, you stay in Balramji's place, you performed your Chaturmasya. Arjuna said, but I am not a sannyasi. He said, I am telling you, use this because it is required. Because Krishna wanted, if Subhadra liked Arjuna, she should marry Arjuna. Krishna did not tell Subhadra. Neither Krishna told Arjuna that you have to. He simply facilitated Subhadra and Arjuna coming together if they like each other and they can do that. Imagine, this is our Krishna. So flexible, so dynamic, so greatly facilitator. Yesterday was Gita Jayanti. If you study Bhagavad Gita, the psychology of Krishna is teaching. It is not only his personality, his teachings are also extremely accommodating without compromising. They are liberating, but they are not liberal. Right? Krishna is extremely sensitive, magnanimous, accommodating, but the grounding, the tradition which is beneficial to the society will not change. Right? Unfortunately, our modern world listens more to those people who have no substance and knowledge. One so-called famous celebrity, she is telling, imagine, a grandmother telling in a public place, I don't want my granddaughter to marry because marriage is a finished institution. You can tell the pros and cons. You can tell the disadvantage. What are the challenges? But when you say you are a liberal woman, how in the world you are influencing your ideas on your granddaughter? How that is liberal? And therefore the liberal and left people, as much as they talk about liberal values, they have limitless, this narcissistic behavior of control. They define what is liberal value. They define what is right. They will say, everybody has their opinion, freedom of speech, but the freedom of speech is basically defined by them. Study Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Study Krishna in the Mahabharata. Study Krishna in the Bhagavatam. Right? So amazingly, scientifically, logically, nyaya yukta, there is a liberal behavior which does not destroy the society but brings the society together, and therefore he allowed Balramji saw Arjuna that he was supposed to do Chaturmasya. He said, why don't you come? Arjuna said, no, I don't want to be in the crowd. I'm done with the crowd. I need a private place and I don't want to be taken care by the Brahmins because there will be a lot of debate, discussion. मुझे कुछ नहीं चाहिए, शांति चाहिए, कोई चर्चा होनी नहीं है. Right? In Chaturmas there are a lot of discussion. So Balramji said, okay, there is one more Shastric reference that a young virgin girl, right, who is like 10, 12-year-old can serve the sannyasi because she represents purity, nishpapata, right? And Krishna kind of created a doubt in the heart of Balram. He said, hey, come on, don't do like this. It's not correct. If something goes wrong, I am not responsible. Krishna washed off your hand. Balram said, what the hell are you talking? He said, I'll take care. And Balramji brought Arjuna. Subhadra was appointed by Balramji to serve a sannyasi. And that is what Krishna wanted. And Subhadra, mysteriously, who is such a pure girl, she felt attraction to Arjun. Then she realized he is not a sannyasi. That is her intuition. That was her sixth sense. Right? Eventually, Arjuna had to reveal, actually, I am not a sannyasi, I am a Arjun. She blushed. She became very shy. And in a particular festival, they decided, this is the time. Krishna organized the chariot, did not convey anything to Balramji because Krishna knew how to pacify Balramji. Balramji and Krishna's relationship is, you don't ask, you do and then go and hug Balramji, pacify him. A very interesting tattva. So then on a very, very nice day, Arjuna, who did not go to the festival, Subhadra came, she drove the chariot, took Arjuna away from there. When the Dwarkavasi Yadavas saw, where is that sannyasi? And along with the sannyasi, Subhadra is also missing. Something wrong. When Balramji got to know, he was furious, he was angry, he was upset. How the hell this person did? And when he got to know that is Arjuna, he wanted to come and attack. Krishna, what are you doing? It is not about Arjuna kidnapped her. It is our own sister has gone with him. It's not a kidnap case. It's a runaway case. And she has chosen a right person rather than attacking. Bring them back and give all the gift and make the marriage gorgeously. Balramji immediately got convinced. That is the beauty of Balram Tattva. Jitna jaldi gussa aa jata hai, utna jaldi pacify hoke, he's almost like forgotten what happened. He'll never bring that story back again. Right? So then marriage happened. Now the problem was, now the conclusion has to happen. Arjuna has to go back to Hastinapur. Arjuna left Hastinapur for the sake of Draupadi, for the sake of the Pandavas, giving pain to Draupadi. In the conclusion of Mahabharata, we know Yudhishthira Maharaj said, yes, Draupadi married all the 5 husbands. Naturally, she took care of them very nicely. But as a person, right, there is a special taste also. However, parents may say, we are equal to everybody, they will still be somewhat specially favoring someone without causing an injustice. The children have to accept that also. You cannot be mathematically fair. The taste will be there. But as long as there is no injustice, right, it is normal. So when Draupadi was missing Arjuna for 12 years, and Babruan's mother Chitrangada did not come, Ulupi did not come, but Subhadra came to Hastinapur. When Vasudev, he does not portray the picture of Draupadi as, okay, it doesn't matter to me, he's allowed. Even though in those times it was a culture, a Kshatriya royalty could have more than one wife. But when Draupadi saw Subhadra, no, first she saw Arjun. She got to know that Arjuna is married. She was hurt, she was pained. And she gave a brilliant example. Right? When you have a bundle of cloth, and that cloth is tied with the rope to carry, to lift it. And Draupadi gives the example, if the cloth bundle which is tied with the rope, you bring another rope next to that rope and tie, what happens, the previous rope becomes loose. जिन्होंने कपड़े को बांधा हुआ है, बुक्स को बांधा हुआ है, they know this, they will understand. Those who have never seen those kind of ropes, they will not understand. But if you guess, you can understand. So Draupadi gave that example to Arjun. Now the rope was her, the cloth was Arjuna. Because the second rope came, the connection between this rope and the cloth is loosened. Such a brilliant, profound example. But the way Subhadra enacted, Subhadra is a representation of limitless innocence. Nishpapata, right, like a coward girl. Krishna told her to maintain that kind of mindset, that disposition. She already had that disposition. Simply by seeing Subhadra, Draupadi melted completely. Never again she raised that issue. The pain was not perpetuated. Pain was not cultivated. Pain was not watered. But to say that, oh, Draupadi did not mind, she was such a great woman, he didn't mind. No, Mahabharata tells, she spoke this, she experienced that pain, she displayed that pain, she communicated to Arjuna, and as Draupadi entered, right, this story, the pain did not stay, it disappeared, she transcended. And eventually, to such an extent, you never find anywhere. Draupadi stayed with the Pandavas. Subhadra in the exile did not stay with the Pandavas. She did not say, how is that Draupadi is going, I am not going. She raised the children, especially her great son Abhimanyu was raised. Right? When they came back, the first marriage in the Pandavas family was not the sons of Draupadi. It doesn't say that they got to get married, but Subhadra's daughter, Subhadra's son Abhimanyu got married to Uttara. Right? So that story is so profound, and eventually Subhadra's grandson became the king of Hastinapur, and Draupadi's sons had to be consumed in the battle of Kurukshetra. So one may say politically, this is what a strange story. All the sacrifice belonged to Draupadi and all the benefit goes to Krishna's family. Some people have written like that because they only see dirt. Their mindset is so loose. They don't study Vedanta in this. And very simple explanation is given. Draupadi represents fire. Draupadi represents yajna. Draupadi represents, sacrifice. And Subhadra represents Bhumi Tattva. Bhumi ka kaam hai fertility ko dena. Bhumi's work is to produce. Fire's work is to purify. Right? Just like Satyabhama and Rukmini. Satyabhama, she gives and others enjoy. Here she is Bhumi. But who enjoys? Everybody else. Right? So here Bhumi Devi's son, the grandson has to be the king of Hastinapur. And in this way, Arjuna's legacy continued. The Parikshit Maharaj, the direct grandson of Arjuna, heard the Bhagavatam and the grandfather heard the Bhagavad Gita. So that is the beauty of Arjuna. That is the greatness of Arjuna, and therefore in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes it very clear. Amongst the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. In the 10th chapter, Krishna saw himself in Arjuna. And therefore, without Arjuna, Krishna said, I cannot live. And he told Daruka, and without me, Arjuna cannot live. And they proved that point. With the disappearance of Sri Krishna, the Pandavas did not stay longer in Hastinapur. The prana, their essence, had gone back to the spiritual world. The Pandavas walked to the forest, and therefore Vanvas marriage, one marriage, two marriage, or being in the Vanvas is simply an event in the lives of the Pandavas. They gave importance to that event as much as it requires, but they continue to travel. They are the Asli Brijbasis who are always in Moh, keeping their Purushartha and Krishna's great mercy in the center. Thank you. Any questions or comments? We can take one or two questions. Draupadi chose Arjuna based on his skills of archery and focus. But how did the test of Swayamvar ensure that she got a man of great character? And therefore, her father had seen the credibility, not only the prowess of Arjuna, we discussed that. Arjuna was not only skilled, he has a refined quality. He had such a quality where even the great Draupadi, who had some kind of ego, was fascinated not by the skill of Arjuna alone, by the quality of Arjuna, if you read carefully. And therefore he wanted, he had no daughter. He made special yajna to have a daughter so that she can marry Arjuna. So fathers are extremely attached to their daughters. And especially Draupadi like person who is not only attached to the daughter, but he has a wisdom also. And he proved himself right that Draupadi got to marry someone who had character, skill. Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara. Prosperity is there, victory is there, morality is there, and stability is there. Yes. So if there is no questions, we'll stop here. Thank you for your kind attention. We'll meet next week. Hare Krishna.